Hey, peace world. Thanks for pressing play on another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment video. Definitely going to get into some bite down boxing presented by PMNM. And, I don't enjoy today's update in the wake of the loss, second loss of Chicago bantamweight Joshua Greer Jr. Don't blink. Um, He's been on, like I said, he's a friend of the channel. Been on a couple of live streams with me. I wasn't able to get in touch with him for this one. And then with the unique situation coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic and the shutdown of gyms and whatnot, I really didn't try to bug the guy. This was a huge moment for him in terms of what he was trying to get accomplished, and where a couple of years worth of hard work. And full disclosure, I saw him in person back in 17 or maybe 16 for I went up to Detroit for a Claressa Shields fight, Showtime, and it was a quadruple header, and that's when he knocked out James Smith. I think Smith's now, I think they either call him Old Man or Red or something. I think I've heard a couple names for him. But that got him on to Showtime. Sports Center, and then I think he also fought Leroy Davila, and Glenn DeZern Jr. And so it was odd, man, watching him. I mentioned this yesterday. The decisions against Nikolai Potapov and Antonio Nieves, who coincidentally fought the same night that I was in Detroit when I first met Greer Jr. They stunk up the joint. Potapov and Nieves stunk up the joint, and were actually booed. The fight was so it just was it was a boring fight. It was a horrible matchup and whatnot. And so to see year and a half later or whatnot, to see Greer Jr. kind of just look, for lack of a better word, a little bit pedestrian against those guys, or not really show any clear levels between him and them. And those are arguably disputed decisions. I know, man, my mind is bad. I did my walk this morning. Dimitri Salita, he was adamant that Potapov had defeated. I think that was the IBF eliminator too. But anyway, like I said, with him not showing those levels, you didn't know what was going on. And then when we see, you make the move to go back to George Hernandez, he talked about the benefit of returning to his roots and training in Chicago. That's what we were looking for. That's what I was looking for last night. Was that the fix? Was that the solution to get the offense back firing correctly? And when he opened the fight, he was jabbing and moving. I kind of liked what I saw, but you saw that wasn't really troubling Plania, Magic Mike Plania. It wasn't troubling him at all. And it just seemed like throughout the course of the fight, it just seemed like Greer was unable to land like that second punch, or the third punch. Wasn't able to get into any combinations, not with any power shots. And Plania was relaxed, in total control, and then his timing was excellent. And it was kind of funny because it was almost like he hid that the left hook, like it was all hidden back here, and then he just popped him real quick. Ward called it a what do you call it? A winging. The second left that dropped him in the sixth, he called it like a winging shot. The first round, that timing to step in and catch him with a lead left hook from distance, and that was a bit disturbing too, to see Greer, dropped on single shots. But he got up both times and really wasn't out of it, badly. But after the first knockdown, he spent a round or two, 2.5, recalibrating and kind of trying to find himself how he would proceed tactically, and he realized late, being outside, being mid-range, wasn't getting it. So that's when he came in with the high guard. And my article was out there on BiteDownBoxing.com. But he, nudges his way in, elbows to elbows, and be direct with everything. Try to slip off and land something, dig and bang. And, he tried to come back in the last 3 rounds. And Plania is playing prevent defense. He's just, when he's able to get away and have some space, he's seeing everything and catching. And then even in the end, he really wasn't even trying to catch Greer Jr. cleanly as much as he was just trying to club him and make him reset or make him find him again. And then, he started with the holding game, holding the ref, pulling weeks in between them and, taking his time on being broken apart and whatnot. And I don't know technique-wise and tactically and all of that. I really can't explain what's going on and where the issue is. I wouldn't say he's lost. And then I tip my cap to him because he said no excuses and left it at no excuses. If you watch the post-fight interview with Bernardo Osuna, he just said Plania was the better man tonight, and he needed to get back with his team and take a look at everything and try to recapture the momentum that he had. Just for a little context, I ran into him at and that was a Showtime card. But another cat that I ran into that is making some noise is number 3 ranked middleweight in Carlos Monroe out of, I want to say, Conyers, Georgia. But he's another guy that, I caught him at a club show in Cincinnati for my man Wyatt and his Wyatt Promotions. And, you see these guys work their way up, man, and you never know that once they get to that world-class level. And Greer is number, 1 in the WBO? And number 2 or something in the IBF. Had won the IBF Eliminator, I believe. He was right there. But like I said, not showing those levels, I was getting concerned when you're talking about facing a guy like Naoya Inoue. But at least you get the payday, and you become a world title challenger. But and then when Casemiro took down Tete, that was interesting. But like I said, with watching, looking at Carlos Monroe, I haven't seen him in a year and a half or so, and I was shocked to see his name at number 3. But he's another guy that I'll keep an eye on and root for him as he works himself into, one of the junior belts, and then possibly, a mandatory or an eliminator or whatever it may be. Also on this card, really quickly, man, getting into the Giovani. Oh, and Moretti defined that fight 95-95 and found 6 rounds for Greer Jr. We just didn't really see that. The other cards were 97, 91, and 96, 92, I want to say. But we'll see what happens to Don't Blink, on the rebound. Moving to the opener, the co-main event, Giovani Santillan. He was in there with a savvy dude, man, who had been in against better fighters. A former titleist in Antonio DeMarco. And Santillan did not have the pace and the diversity in his game, the versatility in his game to really sit there and convincingly outbox DeMarco. He just didn't. He gets through with the majority decision. And, one thing that was telling from the last Thursday night with Adam Lopez, he kind of gave everybody some game. he said he had the management right, the business right, and he said, I'm the house fighter, and they show you some love, and that's what we saw with Santillan being the A side, and he got some love, and I saw where he said he was never hurt by DeMarco. He may not have been hurt, but you definitely got busted up pretty good, and that's just kind of the sad reality of boxing sometimes. But he comes out, he gets the victory, moves to 26-0, and it'll be interesting to see what he does to improve his chances. Now that he'll be elevated, they'll look to place him, on the right track to move into the higher up in the rankings and see what happens. But a very telling performance for him as well. And you put it on these fighters, you get a victory like that. It's in your you have to follow it up. You have to make your adjustments. We have to see how you come. Do you go get some different training partners? Do you get a new coach? What way do you figure out or try to figure out how to be the better man the next time out? Not a bad effort from him, but it seemed like he was a step or two behind DeMarco all night. And DeMarco's a guy who wasn't trying to go away quietly into the night. At the end of his career, gatekeeper role, stern tests. And kind of, like I said, I think we'll see what's next for Santillan. That's about it. Like I said, I'm a little sad, man. Disappointed that and I thought the Andrew Maloney fight would have been, that wasn't going to be a breeze for Greer, in my opinion. But now he's got to work his way back up the mountain, to the top of the mountain, and position himself, to get that shot. And we'll see what happens. My name is Wood. Please consider subscribing to the channel. If you like the way anything was discussed, broken down, or reviewed, analyzed, etc., etc., let me hear some of your thoughts on it. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.